am from the Quality Assurance and Sales Support Department. Welcome to the CRM Training and Dispositions tutorial. So this is the first screen we are going to see once we enter our username and our password on the CRM. And basically from right here is from where we start to make our calls. How to make a call? Just simply click right here and the call will start dialing. The CRM will start dialing the call. Now, if you're not able to see a lead like this one, which it's giving us a lead ID here and basic information about the company we're going to call, just simply click on menu and you click dialer, and with that, you will get a lead on your system. Now, we basically have information for a business to start our cold calling. And on this particular example, we actually have a website for this company. If you call Tiger Industries and you're able to gather, for example, an email address, and instead of typing the entire email address, including the domain, you can actually just click this arrow here and it will send the automatic domain to this field next to it, so you can add just the first part and you don't need to type everything. Same thing by clicking here. If you have the receptionist email address, uh, because she doesn't provide you with the primary contact email address, whichever situation is, by clicking the arrow, you transfer the information. Now, if you're talking to Mary or you're talking to Peter or whoever you're talking to, if it's just a gatekeeper, you're able to change the sex here to know what kind of approach you want to do with your call. We also have different conversation openers uh, that we see here, like the weather. We also have local sports and local news for the area of Houston, Texas, for this lead. By clicking any of those any of those links, you're going to be able to get to the more detailed information and the complete news for that link. So that way you can break the ice, you can start your call approach away from the sales pitch, and basically either the gatekeeper or the merchant can start liking you, trusting you, so that way it doesn't feel that much as a sales call. Uh, Also, as a conversation opener, we have the UCC party section in this area. Well, the UCC party, UCC stands for Uniform Commercial Code, which is basically a record with the Secretary of State of Texas that is recording or letting us know that Tiger Industries did some previous financing with Advantage Business Capital. So right here is letting us know which financial entity they worked with before. As we can see here, we see 2012, the year when the UCC was filed. And this actually lets us know or start a conversation or even ask questions about what type of product they got, uh, if they use capital, if they use equipment, so that way we can start getting to know the business more. We also, if Carl is no longer our main point of contact, my suggestion will be to erase it from the contact session and add it to our notes so we have the record that he was a previous contact name, but we also leave this area blank to add the new contact. Maybe now Peter Smith took over and he's the CEO, and our previous contact name, who was Carl, who now is no longer with the business, can we can have it there as a record once we save it, so that way we know the next time we're gonna ask for Peter, if that was the situation. It's just an example. Now, as we can see here, we have a website already for the business. We don't have an email either for the receptionist or the main point of contact. And sometimes by visiting the website, just by clicking at that button, we're able to scroll down and find information we were not expecting. Right here, I see an email. So we're going to paste the email here, which appears to be Carl's email. And we will save with this button right here. Now, if we want to send a message, an email, I mean, to Carl, we need to go to the Actions tab, select a template. We have generic templates as well as more special T slash industry related emails that you need to look for if you want to send something more specific. But if you just want to send a generic email, you select whichever email you want to send. You add the name of your merchant, which is Carl. We're going to apply so it appears here. And then we're going to select what email we're going to add, which is Carl's email. And we can play around with the subject line and add whichever we think it's going to be better to try to get his attention, or for example add something more specific. Now, once we mark our subject line and we decide this is a proper email we want to send, we click on send, and the message will be sent to Carl. Now, going back to lead info tab, uh, every time a call ends, it's important to add a note so we have a record of whatever happened on the call. Either if we spoke to a gatekeeper or if we spoke to a business owner, we need to disposition the call. To disposition a call, we're either going to select gatekeeper, uh, and we're going to know who the gatekeeper is just by the fact that only the identified people, like a CFO, a CEO, a manager, the president of the company, those will be our our decision makers. So anyone who doesn't identify themselves as a decision maker will be a gatekeeper. Now we have once we select gatekeeper, which means we spoke to an unqualified party, right? Like a receptionist, we will select as many. We're gonna mark as many check boxes as they apply based on whatever happened on the call. So whichever happens on the call, like leaving a message with the gatekeeper, or leaving a voicemail after getting transferred to one, or sending an application because we gathered an email, we will mark as many as they apply. And once we mark, we save the changes and we will move on to the next lead. We also have the spoke to qualifying party, which is basically the same because you're going to get a pop up window with more options to as well select as many as they apply based on whatever happened on the call. Now, obviously, if you speak to a qualifying party, you want to make sure you leave your notes on the CRM so that way whomever gets the lead after you, if by any chance someone else gets it, by leaving a note, you're basically marking your territory and letting everybody else know that you're working on that particular lead. We also have two other options, which is phone problems or other, which again will mean both of those options, other or phone problems, will mean that you didn't have the opportunity to speak to anybody, but you will select whichever option applies to your call. Right here we have a main phone number for this particular lead, but if you click on the drop down menu on main phone, you're able to see if we have additional phone numbers for this company so you can try to reach the owner or the qualifying party. We can add a fax number here if you want to send a fax to your merchant. This based on the fact that your merchant doesn't have an email or doesn't want to be reached that via, you just add a fax number here and you let either your team leader know or me know with a lead ID number via iMessage that you want a fax to be sent, and we can send it for you. For that task, we will need not only the lead ID, but the template, the name of the template you want to send to your merchant, so that way we can do it for you. So, CRM has additional features like this mark right here, this check mark that is asking you if the business qualifies or not. This is basically a way you can mark a lead so it can go under your lead dashboard. That will be your pipeline, so you can follow up with that particular lead because you see there's an opportunity. And if you feel there's no opportunity or the business doesn't qualify, you can mark it like this. Now, we also have the flag here to determine or define the language of the call. You can see that if it's either in Spanish or English. And since we also have a marketing campaign, which is that we send emails to all of our leads to try to provide them with information about our services. If the merchant specifies that they don't want to be reached that via, you can mark it like this with the envelope with the red mark, which means we're not going to reach them, or green if they're open to send to get that information sent via email. We also have this feature here because even we know Carl is the owner and he's our primary main point of contact. We can also add more people to our list of contacts. Maybe we have the CFO information by adding their work phone, right? So that way, and by adding it, you're going to be able to access or call it later on. Now, remember, we have information here that it's usually accurate. Again, if it's not accurate, you can erase it by um, by but by always putting a note about it. So if the company name change, maybe instead of Inc, it's incorporated. It's okay to edit those fields, but always add notes to the CRM about your changes, so that way we have a record. Again, use the conversation openers like the weather, like the the links to the to the news, local news. But the most important part will be that whenever you have a merchant on the line that has an interest or a need, when I'm talking about a need, I'm talking about having some working capital, equipment, finance, immediate need. And when I say interest, is that they are asking, buying questions, or they're interested in listening to whatever you're offering on the phone. The ideal situation will be that you transfer that call to your team leader so they can take over and basically build some rapport with that merchant, have a good conversation, plan that seed about our programs, and hopefully get an application, get a package so you can get your commissions. The deal can get approved, and finally a deal can be sold. So that way, this particular lead can move along the sale process. Well, thank you for much so much for your time. If you guys, once you start on the phone, have any questions, you can directly talk to me, or iMessage me with any questions or doubts about how the disposition calls or what to do in any particular situation. Thank you.